We opened up talking about Eric Schmidt and how in Davos this January he started a conversation talking about the invisible web. And he's talking about the fact that the web will become so pervasive throughout our lives that it'll effectively disappear into the background, almost like electricity. It's all around you, but you don't even really think it's there. So I can see really three strong areas where we're moving towards that perceived future. First of all, we talked about increased connectivity. This is a big play for Google. Eric Schmidt talks about getting the next 5 billion people online by 2020. So Google have an initiative called Project Loon, and that's about stratospheric balloons projecting the internet back down to more remote parts of land to drive internet connectivity amongst the globe. That's one extreme. The other extreme is where you already have the internet. Let's try and really ramp up the speeds. So you've got Google Fiber that started in Kansas and that is now in 10 US cities, where you've got internet speeds of up to 1 gigabit per second. That's the equivalent of downloading a movie on your phone in under a minute. The second area you talked about was messaging, and we're increasingly, and it's been talked about a lot about this week in Adweek, moving to anticipating and predicting and personalizing messages for the consumer. One example of what Google's doing in that space is Google Now. So we're moving to much more of a predictive search, trying to predict what you want before you need to search. You get cards. So for example, if you're going on holiday to Barcelona, you'll see that you get a card telling you everything about Barcelona. And actually, if some of your friends have commented in your feed, you'll see what they said about Barcelona and their recommendations as well. The third thing is about the tech, and it's often referred to as the Tedium of Tech, which is the hassle of getting what you want. And we're seeing huge advancements from many tech companies in wearable technology. And that's only going to continue. So when you wrap those three things together, connectivity, relevance of message and devices, you can really see that we're moving into a very exciting space. We had a good conversation about the impact of improving signals of consumers and what you might do with that. So do you want to communicate a mass message in mass media, or do you start to tailor the message depending on all the different data you have about different consumers? So for example, I used to work on the Coca-Cola account back in the 90s, and every year they would run this Christmas ad called Holidays Are Coming, big Christmas caravan ad, and it would always get the highest ratings on Millwall Brown against every age group, every demographic, and it was a great success. Move that forward, and would they now be actually segmenting that ad and playing a different type of commercial to the main shopper versus the teenager? And I think a very real example of both of those options, do you go mass market with one ad, or do you really try and tailor the message to different audiences at different times and different contexts, was during the World Cup, where the biggest two advertisers, Adidas and Nike, did exactly that. So you had Nike creating a 4-minute ad that actually became the most viewed ad on YouTube last year with over 100 million views. Conversely, Adidas actually created over 200 commercials, some of which never actually played, but they were anticipating different events happening during the game, and then they were going to push them out. And both were a success. So it's not a case of one or the other, but it's a case of brands having those different options and building out very different competitive strategies in the marketplace.